I was thinking about a conversation I had with a friend of mine the other day, and later on when I got back home when I was doing my prayer meditation, I asked my Creator, I said, why are people working so hard, doing the best they can in this human experience to try to get an education and to try to make a living and are still struggling? And my spiritual download was that there are numerous reasons, and each reason is catered to the individual person. So I'm like, okay, that's a little bit cryptic. Please elaborate. You see, I'm one of those people, one of those, I think it's 14 million people here in the U.S. that has student loan debt. I don't mind putting my business out there. When I went back to college, if you've watched my lives or listened to any of my previous audios, I touched on the fact that I had dropped out of college early in life and returned back to college to get my degree. And not only did I go to graduate school, I got my bachelor's degree. I'm sorry, I can't talk this morning, too many thoughts. But I went ahead to graduate school, and that's where the debt came in. And to this very day, I'm still trying to pay off that debt. Now, whether or not the government's going to step in and do anything about it for all of us, because I've been following the news in regards to that, some of it's been forgiven, but its conditions are so strict. It only applies to a small group of people. But once it's forgiven for all of us, this is what I'm going to have to deal with. But anyway, makes me wonder. It's a situation now, when I was younger, in the early 70s, anyone who had a bachelor's degree, that was the holy grail. The bachelor's degree back in the early 70s was similar to a doctorate degree now. You lived above and beyond everyone else. You were upper middle income, if not rich, depending on the field you went into. And you had a job waiting for you that paid more than enough when you got your degree. And now we have some people who are struggling, working in fields that they have not even gotten all that education for, but yet they have to pay for the education in a job that they have not gotten an education in. It's not fair. So what do? You have some of them that are working 2-3 jobs. If that's the case, they could have not gone to college and worked 2-3 jobs. You have a group of young people now where some of them don't even want to bother going to college at all for fear of this result. It's a sad thing. See, the problem is that when I was younger, I was taught, go to school, get a degree so you could work for a big fancy company like IBM or Xerox. They were big corporations. Work for them for about 25, 30 years, get a huge pension and a gold watch. Shit didn't happen. Shit didn't happen, people. So, unbeknownst to us, we turn around and we have children and we tell them the same thing that was told to us, not knowing whether or not there's going to be anything left for them when they get out of college. And we're just simply parroting what was told to us, not thinking about what lies ahead. We have to accept the fact that we're all getting older. And if we have children, we have to leave them a world once it's our time. Once it's our time to be taken care of. Once it's our time for them to take over where we left off. Once it's time for them to lead. What are we leaving them? Spend so much time programming them and telling them, oh, go to school and do this and go to school and do that, but we haven't taught them how to treat people. We haven't taught them the basic common sense things in life that we need for daily living. We haven't taught them those things. We haven't taught them about spiritual connections. Why? Because there's no direct relationship physically in our sight with that to money. It all boils down to money, people. Training our kids to go to school, make a lot of money so that way you can live well, and then when I get old, you can take care of me. Now, see, that's the disconnect. See, that's missing in the programming. Am I dismissing an education? No. We live in a world that is progressively growing. You have to have some kind of working knowledge of how to get through in this world. And the truth is, it is what it is. The more you know, the more that you make. True. There's no way around it. But there are some people who have businesses, haven't had a formal education, but because of their drive and determination, they had to achieve some knowledge somewhere. It may not have been in school. It may not have been in college. It could have been a trade school. It could have been on-the-job experience. But they had to be teachable. And in order to be teachable, you have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to listen. Are we teaching our children to listen? Are we listening? See, you tell somebody, okay, go get this training so you can make money, but you don't tell them what personality characteristics they need to have to make it through the training. They weren't taught the discipline that was necessary in order to endure the classes. They weren't taught how to good study habits. They weren't taught how to communicate effectively. They weren't taught how to network in order to connect with the people in the field that they want to study in so they can get that good paying job. These are interpersonal skills and basic knowledge that are not being taught. They're listed as electives in school, which means a student could choose or not choose to take the class. It's not required. That's why you see a lot of people that are super smart and have a ton of knowledge and a ton of education, but they can't keep a job. Or if they run a company, they cannot keep employees. They don't have basic interpersonal skills. They don't have good linguistic skills. They don't have grammatical skills. They don't know how to navigate and deal with people on a daily basis, because it doesn't matter what job you have, whether you're making $6,000 a year or $600,000 a year. If you don't know how to navigate through this thing called life every single day and deal with people, you better hold on to that bag while you can, because it's going to get a hole in it. And these things are the things that should be taught while they're going through it. When I went back to school, I knew a lot of students who were super intelligent, but they had no discipline, had no sense of commitment. Come to class 1 or 2 weeks and drop out and disappear the whole semester. Parents don't know a clue. Then all of a sudden, a week before the end of the semester, they want to go talk to their advisor about, or talk to a professor about how can they pass the class. They weren't taught to be disciplined. They weren't taught study habits, scheduling, taught how to get along, work as a team. They weren't taught. So it doesn't matter how much intelligence you have. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and the first thing that came out their mouth, because they were talking about someone who did something or said something that just didn't fit their station. And they said, well, I don't understand why she did that, because she's so smart. I said, that's what pisses me off, especially with people of color. We get into this thing where we figure, okay, you know what? Just because that person is smart in school, they own the whole world. It's all sunshines and rainbows, but it's not. There's more to life than a classroom. You need to be taught everything. How to present yourself when you go out. How do you present yourself in front of other people? You're not the only one in this game. You're not the only one. How to deal with in a competitive market. How many times have I gone to school with people and the first thing they did was go to New York or Atlanta and stay a couple of years, and they're right back home in Savannah, Georgia, because they couldn't deal with the pace. Now, some people like small areas. Some people like medium-sized areas. Okay, I get that. But don't turn around and leave a situation just because you can't deal with the competition, because at some point in your life, you're going to have to fight for your position. And some people don't want to fight because they don't know how. They weren't taught how to fight. They were raised up by people who were doormats or people who ran away. I can speak because I was on both sides of this. as a child and as an adult. Not speaking up, running away, solves nothing. It said faith without works is dead. That's what the scripture says, right? So when are you going to start working? So I say this to say this. To the people that are out there that are in a position, fortunately I'm able to work in my field. I had to create something in order to do it so I could make a decent living, but nonetheless, at least I got some experience in my field. There are some people that have been out of school 5, 10 years and still haven't worked one day in the field that they studied for, and they've got to pay all this money back. You're in my prayers. And keep your head up. It won't last long. Trouble's not always. So I just wanted to let you know. For those who have little ones, please, please, please. School is okay, but teach them how to be humans. It's a big world out there. And they need as much of an edge as possible to make it. And that's the truth. So I leave you with power, protection, peace, and prosperity. Have a great day.